Hey guys, VinnyCam972 here. Today I'm gonna teach you and show you how to use Diskpart. There's lots of partition wizards, they're usually called partition managers out there, that you can buy or use different versions, but they're all actually surprisingly really different to use. That's kind of annoying. The one I use is Mini Tool, but I mean, you're probably going to have another one, or you don't want to pay for it or whatever. But the one that comes on all Microsoft Windows distributions is Diskpart. If you have Windows 7, you can find that just by simply typing Diskpart, and it'll come up there, and then you hit enter and it'll come up. If you don't have 7, you can go to your run and type that in there, like here. It'll be somewhere in there, like when you click this. I know it doesn't look the same because it's not Windows XP. And then you type in Diskpart from here, and it should work. And you open up the same thing. Oh, sorry, that's not it. Or if you don't have run or whatever, what you're gonna do is there's I can't do it on here because I don't really have the same list that you do. Oh, there it is, accessories. Oh, okay. So you go, and you should know where this is. This is like, a big menu that pops up when you hit the start menu here, and you go under accessories where your calculator and those couple games that XP has, notepad, whatnot, and you're gonna click command prompt, and then from here you're gonna type Diskpart, and it'll pop up. Okay, so now you're into Diskpart. That's my PC's name, so it'll say that. And what I always do, default, doesn't matter what I'm doing when I open up Diskpart, is list disk. And that just gives you a list of all of the disks in your computer. Now, you may be wondering, I don't know if you don't work with computers a lot, why is disk spelled with a K? Well, quick little anecdote about that. DISC is something flat and round, and usually in computer world is an optical disc, like a DVD or a CD. It's read optically, and it's processed, and it needs to spin and be processed by a computer that way. DISK is a digital drive. Now, CD ports, where you actually physically put the CD and DVD in, are disks with a K, once they're part of the computer. Like, the part that's attached to the computer, it's fed into the computer like a disk. This disk 1 right here says no media right there. That is my CD port, actually. So, if you were wondering, why that says no media there, that means because there's no CD in it. But that is, in fact, my CD port. It's read as a disk with a K by the operating system. I put a disk with a C into this disk with a K1, and it reads it digitally. Now, all other drives, flash drives, external hard drives, internal hard drives, are read directly as digital drives because their memory is stored magnetically or digitally in like a flash drive or something like that. It's just electronic memory, it's not magnetic. So once you have this list, you select the disk that you want. So I'm gonna mess around with disk 3, and now if we do list disk again, we see this little asterisk by disk 3. That's how we know it's selected. Now with disk 3, I can do what's called list part. Now it's selected, I can say list part, and it gives me all the partitions. A partition is a specific sector of a drive. So, like if I go to select disk 0, that's my hard drive, list part, we see a bunch of different drives here. And what you're actually seeing is that they're in a different order, and that's actually something that's very complicated. It has to do with the difference between primary and logical drives and extended drives. But you see all the different partitions. This one is the main one, this 251, that's the one Windows 7 is on. This extended one and these two logical are actually sort of a big hard drive that my Linux operating system is on currently. And this one at the end here, partition 2, is my XP. It's way too complicated to go into why they're numbered like that, but this is actually the order that they appear physically in the hard drive. If you were to, like, pull the hard drive apart and find out exactly where physically they were, they would be in this order. It would be 1, 0, which actually encompasses 3 and 4, and then 2. So let's select 3 again. Oops, select disk 3. There we go. And so once you've selected your disk, and then you can select your partition. So part 1, because it's the first partition. When you have partitions, if you're dealing with a drive that has only primary, which you will most likely always be doing, it's going to be partition 1 is the first partition. If it's got more than that, it's partition 0, but you should never need to worry about partition 0, so always start with partition 1. If you're confused, you don't know what's what, just say list part. And you see that there's, okay, 1 partition, so select part 1. Alright, so we have it selected, it's asterisk right there. Now what we can do is format it, and file system, that's what FS, equals, and you have several file systems to choose from. I believe you can, on Windows 7, you can format to all of the EXTs, up to 5 maybe, I don't really know though. But I would stick with FAT, which is FAT16, it's understood, FAT32, which is what most flash drives are going to be set to, like, as a standard, and NTFS, that's Windows NT file system. The NT generation is Vista and up. XP can now run on NTFS, but it wasn't. It was originally put out on FAT32. Fun fact. Oh, I forgot something. What we always put in here, or I always put in here, is quick, because it really doesn't make any difference except for about 29 minutes of time. It takes forever to format when it does it slowly. Now, if you're having errors with the drive, I would try a slow format. And then, so once we do that, it's already formatted to that, so I don't need to do this, but you hit enter, and it takes about a minute, maybe 2 at tops, to format it quick. Once you do that, oh, there's a good function if you're having lots of errors with any drive. Obviously, you cannot do this when you're in the current drive or partition that you want to erase, but you can use clean. Now, what clean will do is that will clean the current drive that's selected. It will wipe all data and anything like the boot manager, everything off that drive. and then it will start it completely fresh. And what you do is from there you have to create a partition. So we'll learn how to create a partition. Create partition. So you're creating partition, and then you give the type. So primary, and that will create exactly what I just basically destroyed. And you then select partition 1 again, and so let's list our part. So we have that exactly what I just deleted. I should have showed you that there was no partitions when I cleaned it, but there weren't. And what I forgot to mention up here is this free. This, when you list the disk and it says free, that means that doesn't mean it's space that's unused. It means space that's unformatted. See, my main hard drive has like 2 megabytes that aren't used, that are free, just because I guess there was an error. Something got a little bit displaced when it was creating partitions on it. It's really no big of a deal. It's not a loss of information or anything like that. But if you clean a drive, then all of its data will show up under free. So we have this, but if we try to go into computer, it looks like this. Removable disk E. It says it needs to be formatted. Well, you can use Windows, but I personally hate using Windows to format, like using the File Explorer to format drives, because it crashes all the time. I don't know why, but it does. So what I like to do is you just go for, it's already well, it was formatted, so format fs, nope, quick fs equals ntfs, and when that's done, we're going to if you're on 7, it'll do this automatically, what we're going to do after this finishes. But if you're on XP, you're going to need to assign a letter to it. Now, if you work a lot with bootable drives and you need to just clean a hard drive to make it a bootable drive, what you're going to do before you do this is just type the word active in and hit enter, and that'll make the selected partition the active partition, which means it will automatically boot off of that when you load bootable data onto that specific partition. So that should be done in a second. But so you active and then assign, and that'll give it a letter, the next available letter. Okay, there we go. Active, assign, and we're good. Now we have a drive that's now usable if it were corrupted or something when we start it, and it's NTFS, and we have the full 30 gigabytes to use. And that's pretty much it. Now you can do everything I've just shown you with hard drives, but not with the one that you're currently running, Windows 7 or Windows XP or Windows anything that has Diskpart, which I'm pretty sure is 98 up. I don't think they had it on 95. And that's pretty much it.